Well, welcome back to the Discover Fort Smith podcast. My name is Josh Buchfink. I'm the Public Relations Manager for the City of Fort Smith. And today I have a special co-host with me again. This is Joe Cline.
Hello.
And Joe is the man behind the camera normally. Today you're the man behind and in front of the camera.
Behind and in front.
I don't even know how you do it, but thank you for doing it.
Yes.
Thank you for being the co-host today. And of course, we are in the beautiful Clayton house. If you've never been here before, we're in what I learned in an earlier episode in the formal parlor room of the building. So if you've never gotten a chance to stop by the Clayton house, come on by. It's worth a tour. It's worth learning our history. But without further ado, we have a very special guest with us today, the Honorable Sam Terry. He's a judge here at the district court, and we're so excited to have you on today, Sam.
Well, thank you, Josh. It's great to be here today. I'm glad you got through that without laughing too much. I said honorable. But, Josh and Joe, it's wonderful to be on the show. So.
Yeah, thank you for. So, can you tell us a little bit? How did you end up becoming a judge? I know it wasn't just like one day you woke up and you were a judge. Like, what's the path to get there?
Could you imagine it just started for you when you were 5? Just wanted to be a judge.
Yeah.
How far back do you want to go?
Yeah. So was it always like a dream for you to be in law and do something like this?
Josh, not necessarily. I from a fairly young age, I knew I wanted to be a lawyer. I thought I wanted to be a lawyer anyway. I always enjoyed reading and writing and arguing, making good arguments, making points, things of that nature. So I went to college, went to business school, University of Arkansas. And, it was kind of a strange time when I graduated. It was 2002. So 9/11 had happened. The economy was not the best. Job market wasn't the best. Still had, definitely in the forefront of my mind that I wanted to go to law school. I considered maybe putting it off for a little bit, but I thought, I'm not going to do that. Let's get this over with. I took the LSAT, made a good enough score, and with my grades, I got into the University of Arkansas. So I stayed 3 more years in Fayetteville, got out in 2005. I was in private practice for about 2.5 years.
In Northwest Arkansas or here?
Here in Fort Smith.
Okay.
At Hardin, Jest, and Terry. We did a lot of civil defense litigation type work, which was great. I got some wonderful experience from that. Gunnar DeLay, who's now a judge, was appointed prosecuting attorney at that time. He had an opening, and frankly, Gunnar called me and asked if I'd be interested, and I kind of hem-hawed around a little bit. The more I thought about it, the more that really appealed to me to be a deputy prosecuting attorney, not only for public service, but also for good courtroom experience, trial experience. So I went over there for approximately 2.5 more years. Dan Chu was elected prosecuting attorney. He's still a prosecutor. And after I got some really fantastic trial experience, even jury trial, juvenile court experience under my belt, I had an opportunity to go back into private practice briefly. P.K. Holmes, who is a U.S. district judge, then reached out to me and asked me to apply to be one of his clerks. He had just taken the bench. He just received his commission, I believe, in 2010.
Okay.
So I was the second law clerk that Judge Holmes hired. Hired me as a term clerk. He said, look, Sam, I don't really see you doing this full time as a career necessarily. We have career clerks. We have term clerks. After 2 years, I think that you'll figure out something that you really want to do. Maybe it's more federal service. Maybe it's U.S. Attorney's Office, something like that. At any rate, I had a splendid experience working for Judge Holmes. Nice. And lots of legal research, lots of writing, going to court, observing trials, doing anything that the judge needed me to do to try to make his court run smoother. After that, I kind of went a different direction. I took a job as a trust officer at First National Bank. I worked there for about 7 years. It was what we in the law profession would call a JD preferred position, I would say. There was one other lawyer in that department. Everybody else was a non-lawyer, but First National is a special place, and I love those folks there. And, really encouraged public service and encouraged us to get involved with nonprofits, to be on boards, volunteer for organizations around town. I really liked that about First National Bank. They were not only a great bank, but really a good corporate citizen, I would say, in terms of encouraging their employees and officers to really take part and get invested in the communities that we were in. So fast forward to 2019, there was a district judge who had retired. Judge Beeland retired in 2018. Gunnar DeLay, remember me talking about him, hired me when he was prosecuting attorney, was appointed to fill out Judge Beeland's term. In Arkansas, the way that works is that if there's a vacancy on the bench, the governor appoints that person to serve out the remainder of the term. So Gunnar had been lucky enough to receive a call from Asa Hutchinson, governor at that time, to fill out Judge Beeland's unexpired term. In 2019, our legislature passed a law giving us another circuit judge seat. We had 6 divisions in circuit court. We were going to go from 6 to 7. The law specifically provided for the governor to appoint that position in 2019 and then it be for election in 2020. So Judge DeLay got that appointment to the circuit court bench. At the same time, I got the appointment to Judge Beeland's old spot, Judge DeLay's old spot, from July 1st, 2019 until December 31st of 2020. Okay. So that was my first judicial experience. I didn't plan on, I didn't go into any of these jobs with the intent on leaving them, but, I was very happy at the bank, really enjoyed things there. But, when the governor called and asked me to do this, of course, I said yes to him. I had a lot of respect for Governor Hutchinson. I even worked for him back in college when he was Congressman Hutchinson. So did that for a year and a half. And if you're doing your math, a bunch of that was during the COVID times where we had lockdowns and everything kind of ground to a halt, including the court system. So I was not able to run to succeed myself on the district court bench. I knew I wanted to be in judicial service, so I ran for circuit court in 2020, was not elected. So at the end of 2020, I was out of a job and, March 3rd of 2020, I'd lost an election, and then a couple of weeks later, the lockdowns occurred. So I was going to be out of a job by the end of that year. So kind of a unique time to be looking for a job,
right?
For something
I can only
to do.
Imagine.
But things work out for a reason. Things happen for a reason. I really believe that. The city prosecuting attorney position was vacant. Carl Gefkin ended up hiring me for that job. So I took the city prosecutor position beginning in 2021. Until July of 2022. There was another retirement. Judge Borengasser, who was a long-term district judge here, announced her retirement for health reasons. And the governor called me again and asked me if I would take that appointment. And I said that I would. I loved working for the city. It was a great place to work. Had a lot of good experience. I want to say fun, but maybe fun isn't the right word. But there were definitely fun times of being city prosecutor. It was like Josh drinking water out of a fire hose, I would say. I mean, just extremely busy, pretty demanding. But, my office was across the street. It's not like I had to travel anywhere to go to and from work. Had a nice group of judges to practice in front of. Mm-hmm. So took that second appointment from the governor. I was actually on vacation with my family. We were down in Florida. We were at the Kennedy Space Center down there touring that. I was standing underneath one of the Saturn V rockets. Might have been a replica. I don't know, but reached down and looked at my phone. I was getting a phone call, said Asa Hutchinson on it. My wife was like, "You better take that."
Yeah, so, no kidding.
And he was calling with good news, of course. So I'm very grateful for him to have appointed me twice to this position. I ran in 2024 for a full term, and fortunately was elected, and took the I guess I took the bench in 2022. Was sworn in for a full term on January 1st. So that's where I am now.
Wow, that's awesome. So what's a normal day or week like for you? How many cases do you see? What types of cases do you see? Because I don't think a lot of our listeners we have this idea possibly, and maybe it's just me, honestly, like what a judge is like based on television shows
Yes.
versus what a judge is like in real life.
Yes. I bet you it's a lot different.
Yeah.
Well, I've got a friend who's fond of saying, well, my job is just like Judge Judy's. There's one major difference. She makes about $50 million a year. But kidding aside, I think it is important to know. I mean, there are different types of judges in the judicial system. District judges is what I am. We handle any kind of misdemeanor case. So that's anything from a speeding ticket or a no seatbelt ticket all the way up to a DWI or a shoplifting charge. Anything that's punishable by up to a year in jail would be under the jurisdiction of a district judge. We also have civil jurisdiction on matters in controversy up to $25,000. So we get a lot of property damage cases, a lot of collection cases, things of that nature. We handle far and away more cases than any other type of judge in the state of Arkansas. But they're smaller cases. I'm not saying they're not important because they are, but I could have 3 trials in an afternoon, whereas a circuit judge presiding over a felony case, I mean, it may take 3 days or more to try a single case. The flip side of that, Joe and Josh, is that most people that come to court are in front of a district judge. Okay, so that I view that as kind of an enhancement of my responsibility, that I may be the only judge that these people ever see.
Right.
So I take that pretty seriously. Whether you're there on a speeding ticket case or one of the major cases, I want you to feel treated with respect, dignity. Of course, you're presumed innocent until proven guilty, and that's something that's very, very important. So I wouldn't say there's really a typical week. I'm assigned in state division on Mondays, which are typically kind of domestic cases, more serious type misdemeanor cases, city division, which are more traffic type issues. And, frankly, city division is a bit cyclical with the holidays. Over the July 4th holiday, the police were a little bit more intentional, I think, about targeting impaired drivers. So the week after July 4th, we had quite a few DWI charges on the docket, unfortunately. I think there were 14, which is, I'd say typical is 6 to 10 a week, maybe. So, you see kind of a bump there. During COVID times when they were writing no tickets, that was, we just didn't have a whole lot to do. Wednesday, I handle civil division and also environmental court, which is code enforcement type things. It's anything from not cutting your grass to letting your roof cave in, things of that nature. So, just try to get people the encouragement maybe they need to clean up their house and bring it into compliance, things of that nature. The folks at Neighborhood Services they do a very good job. I worked with them, of course, when I was prosecuting attorney. But no matter what case it is, if it's a criminal matter, whether it's a code violation or one of these most serious ones, you're innocent till proven guilty. You're entitled to a trial. I'll tell people, we can have a trial for every single person in this room as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I've got nothing but time, okay? It's going to take a little longer. We're going to be here late at night. The clerks and bailiffs aren't going to like it. Maybe the judge isn't going to like it either. But, that's something that, we've got to uphold the law. So if that's what it takes, then that's what we'll do.
Right.
So I have a couple of different family members who work in law, some more in the beginning stages, some much further along the road. But, one of the things you said is I was kind of shocked about how, Hutchinson, I'm sorry, messing up his name.
Hutchinson? Yeah,
I know, it's kind of tongue tie. But how he had his eyes on you twice. How do you think that someone gets in a position to do that? Because that's pretty unique, especially at that time. I know that you said you had taken a couple of different roads, like, you worked at the bank, that different things. How would you, what's some advice you would give to maybe someone younger to get in the best position to be looked upon from someone like that?
I think, you've heard it all your life. I have too, but hard work, diligence pays off. Fortunately, I think I had a good enough reputation as a hardworking, diligent attorney that people took note of that. And when the governor did, he he appointed me. But, getting the appointment was the easy part. That took one vote. Getting elected was a whole lot different.
Yeah.
Having to, win a majority of the votes. I think the second time the governor was aware, I think it was maybe I don't want to say it was an easier decision for him because I don't know what went through his head, frankly, but he knew that I'd been on the bench before and I'd done a good job and people spoke well of me. As far as I know, they did. Anyway,
Yeah.
I mean, he called again. The first time, I mean, I had been involved in public service at some level, even at the bank. I was on the county board of elections. I was chairman of the election commission for about a year and a half. There's 3 of us on there, 2 Republicans, 1 Democrat. And, in a job like that, I think that's maybe sort of a thankless job that elected officials, appreciate. I mean, you all probably didn't know I was on the election commission, and that's okay because, I mean, our charge was to count all the votes and count as many votes as were cast, okay? I mean, we took off those partisan hats when we went in there, and we just had a good relationship with each other and made sure that every vote was counted. If things didn't match up, we'd count them again, okay? If there were 300 votes cast and we only had 280 votes, that's a terrible night for us, okay? Because we're not going to stop until we have all 300 counted. So I think maybe that played a part in the governor's decision, at least the first time around, that I was willing to take on that role.
When you won the election, how much did you win by? What was the margin? Was it pretty?
In 2024, it was about 73%.
So I would say that's fair. That's pretty successful.
Yeah.
50% plus 1 was all I needed, but
yeah.
I was honored. I was very grateful.
Yeah.
Very
So
honored.
how do you run a successful? I mean, how do you get 73% of the vote? That's pretty impressive.
Extreme hard work on my
Yeah.
part, on my family's part, sacrificing time. I mean, from the moment that I decided to run, and it was just about this time, about 2 years ago, it was time to gather signatures. I think I needed 343 to get on the ballot, and during that process, I'd gotten close to the 343, and I was I felt pretty confident what I needed. Somebody announced they were running against me, so I thought, well, you know what? I need 343. I'm going to get 943. Whatever I need to do, just kind of leverage that into one's campaign. And you learn a lot on the campaign trail. Most people, if they know you, they're probably going to be pretty supportive. And most people, in my experience, if you ask them to do something like, can I put a sign in your yard? They say yes. They want to do it.
Yeah.
As judicial candidates, we can't request contributions, but I had an outstanding campaign committee. It was about 30 people on there, and they were diligent about doing that and spending money smartly on signs, advertising, things of that nature. Unfortunately, money kind of makes the world go around. It's in politics as well, even nonpartisan judicial elections. So the committee was able to spend that money wisely and prudently, and my name was all over town. And I mean, I had a big part of that. If somebody wanted a sign and contacted me, I'd make it happen in 20 minutes.
Wow.
We'd kind of be on rapid response on things like that. Aside from the campaign efforts, just continuing to do my job and do my job well, and treating people well. I don't want to be the kind of judge that the black robe goes to their head. I'm pretty self-aware. This is district court. Nobody's going to prison. Nobody's getting the death penalty. Not that these cases aren't important. They are, but I take myself seriously enough to do my job well, but maybe not seriously enough to make myself look like I'm just a tyrant on the bench,
absolutely.
if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
But the campaign was tough. It really got going kind of in earnest after the holidays of 2023. So beginning in January, that's when we really started the push to get the signs out, the big signs, the little signs, the billboards, the radio ads, even a few TV ads. And the best way to look at it is just have fun with it.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't necessarily want to go to an event on a Wednesday night. Maybe you'd rather stay home and watch TV I'm as guilty as the next person about that. But once I got to these things, it was fun. Just
Yeah.
being around
Yes.
people, meeting different people, listening to people, explaining to people what I do, what district judges do, kind of my philosophy on things. Hard work and diligence. That's what it's always come down to for me.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I'm curious of how you strike a balance between being community oriented, but still upholding, like when it comes to law, a lot of people, there should be this unspoken fear because you don't want to be happy about having to go there. If that makes sense, you don't.
Yes.
And so there needs to be some type of, not meanness, but firmness there. But then how do you strike a difference to say, okay, I'm going to be community oriented. I am nice. I am caring. But we also need to make sure that we're making sure that justice is happening. If that makes any sense.
Joe, that's a great question, and it's challenging, really, because there's definitely times to be firm and times to be more merciful and forgiving, I would say. I had some good feedback from a lawyer that I really respect that was in my courtroom, and he ended up winning his case, but he said he really liked the way I handled it because I kind of let the losing party down easy. I kind of explained to him, why I found this way. I think people just want to be heard, Joe, and to the extent I can be a good listener, or at least act like I'm being a good listener, right? I think that goes a long, long way. And I think about some advice I got early on in my career that really I think about a lot is, in any job, especially a job in the law or in public service, you're going to encounter people every single day that have never really been listened to. No one's ever really heard them. And seize that opportunity, listen to somebody. Everybody has something to say. Everybody has a story. And I'm happy to do that. I think it's important. I think it's important just for basic human dignity. I think it makes me better. It makes the system better.
Yeah. I imagine as a judge, you sometimes have to set aside your emotions, right?
Yes.
Is that difficult to do?
I wouldn't be human if it wasn't difficult to do. Okay. A judge that feels great about every decision he or she makes is probably not a good judge.
Yeah.
And let me explain. We're guided by the law. Okay. If I don't agree with a particular law, I've sworn an oath to uphold it. Okay. So if I really want a certain result, but the law tells me that this is wrong, it's this result, it's result B, that's the one I'm going to apply. So, yeah, that's sure it's a struggle, but I just come back to it's you must follow the law. The law is king.
Yeah.
Yeah. Piggybacking off of that, I think, previous generations, we've come from a culture where you don't really talk about those emotions, especially in the workplace. And nowadays we live in a culture which is maybe a little bit, not saying y'all are old, but maybe a little bit more of my generation, where you almost get the opposite, where it's over explaining and over exaggerating, your emotions. But what do you do having to make those big decisions? How do you cope with those decisions, and how do you make sure that you're emotionally taken care of personally to be able to go out and be the best judge you can be every day and not bringing in yesterday's baggage?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Good question.
Really good question, Joe. Boy, it's hard. It really is. I try my best to leave work at work, and that sounds a little bit trite, maybe,
Yes.
and that's also a struggle. Okay, I'll take time if I'm not sure what I want to do. I'll take the time to do it. I will frequently, and maybe I've got a bad reputation for doing this, but after hearing a case, sometimes I want to take it under advisement for a day or two, or maybe a week. I want to look up some case law, make sure I'm on the right track on that. But I think it's a good thing that our society and folks feel more comfortable talking about their mental health. I think that's overall a very good thing. We have in Arkansas the Judges and Lawyers Assistance Program, JLAP. in the law as most demanding professions, unfortunately, sometimes it leads to mental illness issues, substance abuse, things of that nature, and they're there to help for that. I have a very supportive wife at home that is always a good distraction for me when I get home. And if there's something that went on that I just don't want to talk about, like she respects that, and I appreciate that about her. As far as just keeping myself kind of above water, I'd take solace in things like reading, watching Netflix. We always try to have a good show or series going on Netflix. It's going to make me sound weird, but I really enjoy mowing the yard. Okay.
I love it.
I get it.
I mean, I don't do it yet, but I love yard work. Whenever my friends are like, "Hey, we need some help," I'm there.
Boy, that's good to know, because I mean, if I ever get burned out, maybe I'll feel like.
Hey, now.
Listen, I've got a
card after this.
I've got an electric lawnmower. It doesn't make a lot of noise. I can put my earbuds in, listen to a podcast, listen to music, and just walk back and forth in my yard, and that does me a lot of good on some level. So I'm glad you guys understand and aren't kicking me out. Or anything.
I have the exact same way. And honestly, my yard's on a big slope, so it would probably be easier for me to hire somebody to do it. But I just enjoy that time. It's me time. I get time just to sit there.
I knew I liked you.
Yeah.
That's funny. So it's going along those lines of, like you were saying, you spend a lot of time, with your wife and watching Netflix and stuff. If you were to consider, going home and just doing something like a mini vacation, but you're still in town, what does that look like for y'all to do around town? Like a in-town vacation, what would you do?
In-town vacation, do I get to leave the house?
Yes.
Okay.
You go anywhere in town.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that opens up a whole lot of other things.
Yeah.
You know what? I would take advantage of going downtown. I work downtown. Okay. I'd just go downtown for fun. I'd go to the historic site. I'd hit that up. I hadn't been in there in years. I'd go through the Museum of History downtown. Yeah. I've been on the board of that for 6 years, and it's been years since I've really taken the time to go through there, look at the exhibits.
Yeah.
I'd take some time to go to the U.S. Marshals Museum. Again, probably set aside 3 or 4 hours and, really do a deep dive into what they have going over there. Remarkable facility. It's fascinating. Probably after all that, I'd go to the art museum and look at some pretty art.
Yeah.
Kind of cleanse my mind and have a nice meal at one of my favorite restaurants, R&R Curry Express, which is right across.
Oh, yeah. Have you been there?
No.
Joe.
It's in a gas station.
I know what you're talking about. I need to go.
Yes, you do.
Oh, it's really good.
It's fantastic.
Okay. Yeah.
Tell Raj I sent you. He'll take care of you. It's fantastic.
I'm probably going to say this wrong. I frequently say things wrong on the podcast. But they used to have a video feed up on the TV of the tandoori oven.
Yes.
And they would slap the naan bread on the naan on the side of the oven, and you could watch it cook.
How great was that?
It was, it's so cool.
I mean, now they have music videos.
Yeah, but it's pretty cool. The food's excellent there.
Absolutely. So, I love local spots.
Yeah.
Like
what are some other local spots?
Thai curry downtown is another one of my favorites. I have a friend that we go to lunch, and it's like we go to one of the curries. It's either R&R or Thai curry.
Yeah.
As long as it's curry, I guess.
That's awesome.
Goodness, I love 21 West End. I mean, I would put that place up next to anything in a larger city. I mean, they just very quality place. Great place for a date night, or, if somebody's visiting from out of town. My brother and sister-in-law were in town about a year ago. We went to 21 West End. After that, we went to the 906 Lounge. Just kind of a typical little hole-in-the-wall bar in Fort Smith. This is kind of what. All kidding aside, they did a phenomenal job.
Amazing.
With that place. It really is. There's nothing like it. Again, I mean, that's the kind of place you'd expect to see in a big city. And my wife and I like to go out to Piatto out on the east side of town and Chaffee Crossing. Great pizza, great pasta. Really
Stonehouse while you're out there.
Why not?
Yeah.
You can tell I skipped lunch today. I mean, what's for dinner?
That's hilarious.
No, we are, Fort Smith is so fortunate, in that small way, just having some really good culinary options and a lot of, different options, great Mexican, great Asian food, and that's a good testament to our city, in my opinion.
Did you? So I'm going to backtrack quite a bit. Did you grow up around here, or?
I did. I grew up in Fort Smith. My mom and dad moved here in 1976. So my silly thing that I tell people sometimes is that, we're new in town.
Yeah.
We've only been here for 50 years. No, I went to Southside High School, graduated in 1998, moved to Fayetteville for college and law school, and I couldn't wait to come back.
So you've seen this community change a lot.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. What are some of the biggest changes that you've seen or enjoyed to watch, especially even leaving and then coming back,
I think one of the best things Fort Smith has going for it is the education system. Okay, I mean, seeing UA Fort Smith used to be West Ark Community College. Guys my age and even younger remember that. Becoming a 4-year university, being part of the University of Arkansas system, I think has been just a remarkable. I can't stress enough how important that is to our community. And Chancellor Riley and her staff out there have really built that thing into just a first-class institution. We have a medical school in Fort Smith now. I mean, I never would have thought.
Yeah.
But boy, it takes some time. Go out to Chaffee Crossing and take a look at what they have. Probably even get a tour out there. It's wow, what a beautiful campus they have,
and still expanding as well.
Yes.
It's going to be even bigger than it already is.
Pretty soon a Harps nearby, right?
Yes,
That's exactly right.
Yes.
With a gas station next to it, I think.
Yes.
So. And K through 12. I mean, Fort Smith Public Schools. I mean, they've done some remarkable things with since the millage increase. The facilities are so nice. The quality of the education is outstanding. I thought it was when I went through school. The Peak Innovation Center. I mean, that's a one of a kind.
Yes.
There's nothing like that within 500 miles of us. How exciting it is. I think with the Foreign Military Sales mission coming in, I think that's going to bring a lot of more diversity and more opportunity to the community. I grew up with the jets flying over our house all the time. Okay, so I mean, I was kind of used to that. Not so excited about the noise necessarily, but it's fine. It's going to be fine. That's just you live in any kind of a city, there's going to be noise, and I think there's a lot to be excited about in Fort Smith, Arkansas.
Right.
Now, you've also been interested in law pretty much your whole life, or even in it maybe your whole life. What's some of the ways you've seen the law system change since you've been interested or a part of it? Because I imagine in that time period, especially with COVID being somewhere in the middle there, it's been quite a big change.
One of the biggest things that we're seeing is, during COVID, we learned about this thing called Zoom that I'd never heard of before. Now everything is on Zoom. Okay. And the legal profession has really grown to adopt it. And even in the court system, we have updated rules of civil procedure that have to do with virtual proceedings in court and even blended proceedings in court. So if I get a request from someone who wants to appear remotely in court or testify remotely in court, there's rules about that now, and I think that's a good thing. At the end of the day, I think that there are. I took the bar exam 20 years ago. I was. If you think I'm unpleasant to be around now, you should have seen me this time 20 years ago when I'm 2 weeks out from taking the bar. That was a stressful summer anyway. A little bit of a little bit of trauma there maybe. But we've even seen the bar exam change and the way that people are licensed to practice law. It was 2.5 days when I went through it. There was, I think, half a day or 1 day that was Arkansas specific. I believe it's now all multi-state type questions on there. It's still extremely hard, I'm sure, and it ought to be. It's easier to get licensed. Once you're licensed in one state, I think the other states are a little bit more open to licensing you by reciprocity. It wasn't like that when I started. You had to take a separate Oklahoma bar exam to be licensed there, and a lot of some lawyers I knew that were even a little bit older than me there was a way to do that, you could take the Arkansas bar exam, and then once you're done with that, you drive over to Oklahoma, and the next day you take the Oklahoma bar, or at least the part of the Oklahoma bar that was different. And that sounded pretty terrible to me, honestly.
Yeah.
But the profession is obviously it's getting younger. There's more women in the profession than ever. I would say my law school class was at least 50% female, and we have a majority female Supreme Court. Our local judges are majority female, and I think that's a good thing as well. It's not not just what you. I guess when I think of a judge, I think of like Judge Parker, or the guy from what's the movie with Eddie Murphy, Caddyshack.
Oh yeah.
Judges aren't like that anymore, and it's a good thing.
Yeah,
So
that's funny. Okay, when it comes to AI, how are y'all implementing that, or is that even a discussion that you're having? I know in Texas, when I was there, they were beginning to talk about what that looks like. But what does it look like for here, I guess?
AI is and will change the landscape of our profession. And I think it's important to not write it off as a fad or write it off as something that we shouldn't be using. I think we should all be using it and understanding it. Okay. That said, I draft my own orders. Okay, I don't use it for that. I don't really use it in my profession, but I should. I should be more familiar with it. I know lawyers are using it to assist them in drafting things and assist them in legal research. Every week, I think there's a new article about a lawyer who's been sanctioned by a court because he used AI to, hallucinate these fake case citations. So it is going to be a change, a drastic change. It's a good and valuable tool, but at least for now, I think we're always going to need that human element. It's so important to check your citations.
Yeah, certainly.
And
even there's a disclaimer at the bottom of ChatGPT that says, be sure to verify all the information given.
Who pays attention to that, Josh?
Actually, Buckley was someone else who came on an episode a couple shows ago, I think.
Yeah.
And something I noticed with her, I noticed in you as well, is how quick you think on your feet. Like even as we're asking you a question, I see you looking around thinking. Is that something that's taught to you in law school, or is that something that you just have to develop along the way, or you get left behind?
Well, for me, I think it's something I had to develop. I'm not sure I really got a lot out of being called out on or called on by my law professors and being put on the spot. I never was too great at that. Honestly, I think I have developed it just out of necessity. A lot of it really is thinking on your feet, and and I'm not talking about necessarily being quick-witted or funny with a joke or something like that, but you have things come at you all the time that you don't expect.
Yes.
And I think the experience has really taught me to do well on that. I could always do better, believe me, because there's anytime I think I have things figured out, that's when the next thing around the corner is going to hit me, and I've never had that come up before.
Yes.
So,
what's the future hold for you? And I mean, is it continuing doing this? Do you have your sights set on higher things at some point, or do you want to be a trial lawyer again?
Josh, I'm going to give you the politician answer, I guess, but it's in my case, it's true. Okay. I love what I'm doing. I love being a district judge, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart, not just because I'm doing the job and I'd like to continue doing the job. It's rewarding, it's challenging, it's sometimes excruciating, but at the end of the day, I feel professionally fulfilled, and that I think that means different things to different people. I would love to do this job as long as the voters will have me. I've got to sit for another job interview in 2 years, 2.5 years or so, and I hope I'll be rewarded with another term. If not, I'm a resilient guy. I've done it before. I'd do something else. You mentioned being a trial lawyer. That's what really thought I wanted to do, to be an advocate. I can't do that as a judge. I mean, I'm not an advocate as a judge. I'm an advocate for the judicial system and for the law, but I can't advocate for one side or another. And that's important to some people. To me, this is I've found what really makes me happy. This is my niche, and I'd love to continue doing this.
Why do you find it so fulfilling?
I think just because of what I said about it being challenging, confronted with different issues. That the great thing about the law is if you don't know the answer, you can usually look it up. And I don't use ChatGPT for that.
Thought about that. Like using ChatGPT.
I guess if I can't find it in the law books, I'll go to ChatGPT and probably decide something else anyway.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, to me, I like to read, I like to write, I like to be challenged, and that this job checks every single one of those boxes. And sometimes you get to help people along the way too, and that really is important to me as well.
Okay, I got a final question for you before we wrap it up here. Been waiting to ask you this one. Okay, so we live in Fort Smith, which bleeds history everywhere, to every corner of the city. How do you take into account that history that we have when it comes to law in your everyday practice?
If you study history, I think that makes you a better lawyer. I think it makes you a better law student, better lawyer, better practitioner. You look through these statutes, some of them are, have been on the books since the 1800s, and then those were influenced by English common law. So, I mean, the history of the law is something very fascinating in and of itself. In this area in particular, I mean, we've had just a plethora of people who've been really giants in the legal community. We're sitting in one of their houses right now. Mr. Clayton was the United States Attorney for Arkansas, for this part of the state. He practiced in front of Judge Parker, another person I would consider to be a legal giant in this area. So coming up, I really looked up to people like that and wanted to try to emulate their good qualities. I think my approach to this job is really influenced a lot by Judge Holmes, who was the federal judge that I worked for as a law clerk. I really liked his calm demeanor, his well-reasoned answers and rulings. And I'm not putting myself on the same pedestal as him, but he's somebody I've looked up to for a long, long time as a jurist, and how he conducts his business. So I think I hope that touches on what you asked me. We're lucky to have the kind of history that we have in Fort Smith, Arkansas. I'm glad to be some part of it.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Well, thank you guys.
And giving us a little insight into what it looks like to be a judge, and then all the things that you love about Fort Smith. And I hope you get to do this for years and years to come.
Well, thank you so much. Come see us anytime. We're open for business. So
absolutely.
Just not when you have a ticket.
Thank you. That's why I was chuckling. I was like, I don't know that I want to.
That's what I was thinking.
Really.
Well, you better show up if you have a ticket.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Well, Josh and Joe, thank you guys so much. Thanks for what y'all do.